Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, August 13th. I'm actually filming here, recording, here for Monday, August 11th, here at the Fifth Dimension Radio Studios in what is today beautiful Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. And with it being Wednesday night, you know it's time for 10 Cent Beer Night, the official sports show of FifthDimensionRadio.com every Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Seth here, just going to be Seth today. Got some other ideas going on for as we get closer to football season and the end of baseball here. But right now, you're going to have to just deal with me on your sports update here on FifthDimensionRadio.com. And of course, we're going to start with baseball because that's the sport we're deeper into at the moment. And of course, the local national team, major league team, the Cleveland Guardians here. And what a week they had for themselves. 5-1 this past week. They won those five straight. By the way, they swept the Mets. That was a big one. If you remember when we had Ron here last week, I said this is going to be a test. Mets had not been playing very good of late, but they've been playing overall very well this season. But Cleveland swept them. They did take 2 out of 3 against Chicago. They lost the last one 4-6. I actually did not catch the game, did not see what happened there. Pulling it up right now. Looked like Scissione took the loss, the guy that they got out of the Josh Naylor trade there. Manzardo, he hit 2 home runs yesterday, which was big for him. But White Sox ended up, again, scoring a little bit more runs. Yeah, Scissione gave up 5 runs yesterday, and if you give up 5 runs, I mean, you're putting yourself in a tough position even against the White Sox, who are 43-75 currently. So Cleveland's 61-56. Detroit dropped some over the week. Yankees dropped some over the week. So it's putting Cleveland in a much better position. One guy that's come up pretty huge for Cleveland right now is one of their top prospects. They called up recently, C.J. Kifus. Hit his first home run the other day against Chicago. First career home run, I should emphasize. 269 average, 1 home run, and 5 RBIs there. That's just in playing for 1 week of baseball. And, I mean, his bat has come up huge, though, for them because they needed an outfield bat that was going to be a little more productive. And they're already seeing it with him. You have Brian Rocchio. He's doing a little bit better. He had a pretty solid week this past week. I know the overall numbers are not great, but, I mean, he's still sitting pretty... He came through in the clutch this past week. He really did. All in all, I mean, they're sitting pretty solid right now. The standing update as of now, again, this is going to change a little bit by the time you hear this, but they're a half game away from the wild card right now, and they're 6 games behind Detroit. So that's not bad. I mean, I told Fritz called me as he's healing up from his surgery, and he had told me about a week and a half ago. I said, I think they're going to be done if they don't they don't step it up, And I said, look, they have the 3rd easiest schedule left on the rest of the season in Major League Baseball. Okay, 1. 2, it was just too early to call that. Now, there are some teams that are slipping away. To just name a few in the American League. First, in the American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays, 69-50, had a rough series against the Dodgers, but are still on top. The Red Sox are in 2nd now in the East, 4 games back. Yankees are 6.5 games back. So I told you some teams are slipping. The Tampa Bay Rays have not been playing well the past couple weeks. All right, I should say ever since All-Star break. They're 12 games back, and it's slowly like time's against them now. And the way they've been playing, and they've suffered some serious injuries. That's part of it. They might need another year, but I mean they're going the right direction. And Baltimore, who both me and Bob thought were going to be fantastic this year, 15.5 games back, 53-65 record. Did not see that coming. Now for the rest of the American League Central, Royals are in 3rd, 9.5 games back, 58-60. Royals played very well last August and September last year. Okay, so I wouldn't even write them off right now. They could take the turn. They have an overall talented team, and they could make an upset here. Twins 56 and 61, 11 games back. They played Detroit very well this past week. Again, slipping a bit, but we'll see what happens there. Twins trade away a chunk of their roster there. And then White Sox, yeah, forget about it. The season's pretty much over for them. American League West, the Houston Astros are in first at 66 and 52. Seattle Mariners are a half game back at 66 and 53. Cal Riley really continued to hit home runs. He hit about 3 or 4 this past weekend. As far as chasing Bonds goes, I mean, he kind of got cold there for 1 week, and that makes a big difference when you're trying to chase a 73. Well, he's probably almost at 50. He's hit the third most in catcher for a catcher in Major League Baseball history in one season. So I mean, he's being very productive there. Texas Rangers 6.5 games behind the Astros, 60 and 59 record. The Angels 56 and 62, 10 games behind. Yeah, I don't expect the Angels to make the playoffs, but like I said, all year they have been improved compared to where they've been the past 3-4 years. Okay, and being 10 games out right now, it's still not quite over. So I'll be interested to see if the Angels do anything in regards to the rest of their season. Sacramento, Oakland A's, 53-67. They're 14 games back. Again, my same attitude as I had for the Anaheim Angels there. Still a better position than they've been at this time the past 3 or 4 years. So that American League West is improving in ways a lot of people are overlooking there. In the National League, you have the Phillies in first at 68-49. Mets 5.5 games back. Again, Mets have been slipping, so that's why they're not in first anymore. 63-55 record. The Miami Marlins 11.5 games back. Again, same attitude with the Angels and the A's. I wouldn't put money on them making the playoffs, but where they're at right now, at this time of the season, it's not quite over yet. And Marlins have been hitting the ball well. And they're 57-61. And again, better position right now that they've been at this particular time than they've been the past 3 or 4 years. Braves 17.5 games back. I would write off the Braves this year. That was, along with the Baltimore Orioles, that was a team I expected to do very well this year, and they just have not. And then you have the Nationals at 47 wins in last place there. In the National League Central, you have the Milwaukee Brewers at 73-44, playing very good ball right now. Cubs 67-56 games back. Reds 62-57, 12 games back. Again, my same comment with with Miami, Oakland, and Anaheim. The only difference is Reds have a winning record, and with Francona there, they're going to continue to play well. And remember, Francona's the best manager in baseball for the month of September. Now, I know we still have August to finish up, but he does solid in August. He's the best in September. Do not write the Reds off right now. I think you're crazy if you write them off. Cardinals 60-59, 14 games back. A similar attitude with the Reds were, okay, look, it's still a little early, but they have a winning record. They're playing overall good ball. Let's see where this goes. Pirates 51-68 in last place. Their season's about done. However, Paul Skeens is getting a little bit more wins. They're getting him a little bit more runs there. So that's good. Skeens is very much in the Cy Young talks, even though he doesn't have a winning record right now. In the National League West, LA Dodgers, another good week for them, 68-50. But 2 games behind them, sneaking up, is the San Diego Padres at 66-52, playing good ball all year long at this point. San Francisco Giants are at 500 at 59-59. 9 games behind the Dodgers, but still in a soft position right now. Arizona Diamondbacks, it's interesting, 57-61, 11 games back, which is not terrible for where they have been all year because it's been a roller coaster ride. They've traded some guys, but at the same time, I actually watched part of a game. They played I forget who they were playing. It may have been the Cardinal. I can pull that up real quick. But I watched a game earlier this past week. I think it was San Diego actually there. Yes. division rival. And the announcers were talking about, Arizona. This was a team that made the World Series a couple years ago, okay? Last year they were solid. They fell short of making the playoffs, but they had an overall good year. And this year's been, again, they're 4 games under 500 right now. And they were talking about the young guys on the team knowing the situation, and they were sellers at the trade deadline. They want to still go in every game and put up a fight and try to upset the opponent. They don't think the season's done for them, so they're still playing hard. So Diamondbacks, I mean, it's been weird. They had an okay week this past week, but it's not over. It's technically not over for them. It's going to be tough, but right now where they sit, it's time to just build on the prospects you have on the roster right now. Try to give them some good playing time, see how they produce, and this is a team, they're still going the right direction, I personally think, but it's just not going to be this year. And they're in a very tough division. I mean, you have the defending champion LA Dodgers, you have the San Diego Padres, who made monster moves at the trade deadline. In my opinion, had the best trade deadline out of anybody. Okay? And then you have the Giants there hanging in, who are also a very talented team. So it's tough being in the NL West right now. And then you got the Rockies. They did win 30 games. There you go. So there's some improvement there. Let me see. In the wild card position, okay, so we saw, as of things are now, I mentioned Blue Jays, Tigers, and Astros as, excuse me, division leaders. The wild card roundup would be Mariners, Red Sox, and Yankees as of now. Guards are a half game behind the Yankees, okay? Rangers are 2.5, Royals are 4, Rays are 5.5 with the Twins, and then you have the Angels at 6. Those are probably the most realistic right now as far as the wild card goes. So that's why I said, look, do not write off some of these teams, because they are still right now in the conversation as far as playoffs go. And nationally, Brewers, Phillies, Dodgers, and then for the wild card, Cubs, Padres, Mets. Reds are the 4th team in the wild card talks, game and a half back. So they're still very heavily in the conversation. Cardinals 3.5 games back, Giants 4, Diamondbacks and Marlins 6. And that is why I said it's not too late for these teams, because one good week. You saw what happened with the Guards this past week. They go 5-1. Yankees and Tigers lose like half their games this past week, at least half, and now Guards are sitting prettier than they have been the past 3 weeks. So anything can happen at any time, and this is why this is the one of the best times of the year for baseball. I know some people will say, well, the playoffs in the moment, the heated games, the close games, the pitching duels. Yes, of course, the playoffs, yes, but if we're talking about not centered around 4 to 8 teams, and we're talking just the regular season, this is the best time, because you have August, things are really, really starting to amp up, and then September, it separates the boys from the men, okay? As far as the Guards go, they just got to stay healthy, they got to stay out of trouble, stop the gambling, and I'm not even joking there. I did see, because I talk about CJ Caiaphas getting called up and all that, Bazana, their first overall pick from last year, he's been called up from AA Akron to AAA Columbus. So he's been making strides, and now I think the conversation happened. And we talked about this earlier this year. He had an injury, he bounced back actually much faster than people thought. The conversation kind of cooled down a bit, but at the beginning of the year there was speculation, because again, this is a guy that went to 4 years of college, and a lot of those guys do come up much faster than than high school players do. Part of the conversation was he's already on the 40-man roster. Does he get called up at a point? Do we see him in Cleveland in September? And that was the prediction, was August or September. And again, that was before he had the injury. Okay, has that injury. He plays overall well for the Rubber Ducks here. I'll pull that up for you here. And you talk about a guy with lot of upside and a bat they could really, really use right now. Let me see here. Pull it up. For the Rubber Ducks, it is short time. 254 average, 5 home runs, 25 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases. Not too bad. They felt that was good enough to call him up there. Yeah, we'll see what he does in AAA first. That injury he originally had, people had him out till mid to late August. He came back late July. So he made some different strides there. Here's all their call-ups, by the way. Let me see. Tommy Mace, Ross Carver, and catcher Cooper Engel all are moving from AA to AAA. Okay, because their Guardians made a lot of call-ups and moves there. Carver, the 20th pick in 2021, 1-2 with a 3.59 ERA and 45 strikeouts for Akron. Mace was the 69th pick in 2021. He went 10-6 with 3.69 ERA, 73 strikeouts in 20 starts, 21 appearances for the Ducks. Engel is the number 6 prospect for the Guards. He's hitting 273 average, 9 home runs and 49 RBIs. And he's doing well behind the plate as well. So, with that being said, I mean, that's the guy to watch out for because, I mean, with Bo Naylor still not hitting the ball as consistently as he should, maybe Engel sees some action there late in the season. From Lake County to Akron, Jack Jasek, Jacob Kozark, Ralphie Valaquez, and Christian Knapczyk got called up there. There's another guy that's not listed here. One of their top outfield prospects got called up to Akron earlier this past week. And that is somebody they're very, very high on. You're not going to see him in Cleveland this year, but the Travis Bazzana conversation is going to be a realistic conversation for the rest of the season. And, I mean, you saw some teams last year. His name escaped me, Dylan something. It's number 2 overall pick from about the year before, 2022. He got called up less than a year from the Washington Nationals. And, I mean, and he started playing pretty decent for them out of the gate. So we'll see. I mentioned Byron Rochiro. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I keep forgetting how to say. We talked about him having a solid week this past week. He's got to have another one. Because when Bazzana comes up, they're going to give him some serious playing time right out the gate. It's a sexy look. It's going to sell tickets. They're in the playoff hunt, and then you get the first overall pick in franchise history to get called up. Second baseman out of all positions, because you've been consistently looking for that replacement since Jason Kipnis has been gone. Andres Gimenez had an all-star season, but at the same time, he didn't live up to that contract, so you're looking for somebody long-term that can sell jerseys and play very well, and Bazzana might be that guy. Hey, I got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little more baseball. We'll also talk about the NFL preseason, including Shedeur Sanders' solid debut. That and more. Stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our second segment of today's 10-cent beer night here on the second week of August here. Hard to believe everybody's different, but there's some places in the United States where kids are already back in school. Here in Ohio, some of them, this is the last week of summer. Next week's the last week of summer, or they're back. When I was a kid, and that's why it trips me out, it was always the last week of August is when we went back. So you go back, and then you have a 3-day weekend following it for Labor Day. That was kind of like the tradition at the time. So it's weird seeing kids get back now because there's so much still left of August in the summertime, and it's like, why are they going back? Man, give them a couple more weeks. But, it is what it is. Everybody does it different. Some people, they let the students out earlier. When I was in school, only
high school seniors really got out before Memorial Day. The rest had to stay there at least till the end of May, and then the younger kids stayed until early June. Now it's early June and everybody and their mom is already out. So it's always a little bit weird there. But yeah, if this is the last week of summer for you and your kids, go out. I mean, I know weather over here in Ohio is supposed to be solid, a little bit of rain, but mostly 80s and 90s all week and sunny. So go to the pool, go to a baseball game, enjoy yourselves while you still have it, because they're not going to be kids for long. And this is some of the best memories they'll ever have here. And even still as an adult, for me, summer memories are something else. Going out there, and last year around this time, it was probably a little late earlier. I went to SummerSlam in Cleveland, and I had some friends recently talking about that, how fun that was, and then how fun some of these football preseason games are. We'll get to that in a sec there, but I was looking at some standings here for minor league baseball and for Cleveland. It just talked about in the last segment, Travis Bazzana. He got called up to Columbus. Part of the reason is Columbus is not playing very well. They're in the second half of the season 15-22. They're 13 games behind, and it looks like playoffs are going to be a long shot for them. The only team that's clinched a playoff spot so far for AAA was Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, which are also owned by Ken Babby of the Akron Rubber Ducks. And that's Miami Marlins team there. So I think that they called some of those guys up because they're like, look, let's just give Columbus a shot. They're not playing very well, but if we give them a couple guys, we'll see how they play down there. So Akron right now for AA, they're 19-20. They're 3 games behind first. So it's not too late for Akron as far as playoffs go. Erie Seawolves, Detroit Tigers, AA clinched earlier this year. Binghamton Mets, yes, the Mets AA team already clinched in the first half there. Erie right now is a half game behind Akron as far as the second half goes. Binghamton is still in first place in their division at 26-13. So Mets have some good prospects, I guess, in down there in AA. I should say up there because it's actually further north than where the Mets play. So something's going on in the Mets camp where they're doing something right, because that team's been playing very well of late there. So Rubber Ducks are still in it. So if you live in the area and you're looking for something to do with your kids, there you have it, the Akron Rubber Ducks. That'll be fun. Lake County Captains, 25-17, 5 games behind first. Again, that division's very, very good right now. But Captains are playing very well, and again, they did lose some key guys of late. So we'll have to see how that pans out there. In the Carolina League, Lynchburg, I think they're the Cat. I'm going by memory here. It's Cleveland's team though. They're 15-24. They're 8.5 games behind first, but they clinched a playoff spot in the first half. So they're going to the playoffs regardless of what's happened now. So they can kind of just chill a bit and not panic and go to the playoffs, new season, clean slate, and see how they can do the rest of the season there. So that's your minor league right there. As far as what Cleveland's teams are doing there. We're going to shift gears to the other Cleveland team, the Cleveland Browns here, and some of their preseason action. They won this past week 30-10, okay? This was an overall great game, and this was a great game for 2 reasons. One, defense. Defense played awesome this game. The pressure was everywhere. And you get that, and I know people are like, Seth, it's preseason, it's the backup offensive line. The pressure always looks good for everybody when they play the backup offensive lineman. I get that, but the way they swarmed to the ball carrier, I was impressed. I really was. Now, there was times they missed. I mean, they could have had literally 4 to 6 more sacks in that game, and they kind of missed. Again, we are talking the backups here. If this is Myles Garrett and the first teamers, they could have got 7-10 for all we know if they continue to play like that. So there was the defense. The other reason it was Shedeur Sanders. All right, 14 to 23 in passing, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers for the Browns at all. Panthers had 2, but none for the Browns. Tyler Huntley, the guy that, yeah, since our last headset beer night, the Browns signed another quarterback because of hamstring injuries to both Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett. Okay, they weren't going to have Flacco play that game. It's the first preseason game. It was unnecessary. He'll probably play the second one and the third one, okay, because of the quarterback competition. He is right now favored to win that quarterback competition if it were to end today, okay, even with how well Shedeur played. But Tyler Huntley returns to the Browns. He goes 6 for 8, 51 yards and 1 touchdown, you know. Running the ball went okay. Undrafted guy, Monty Marshall, who played for Appalachian State, led the way with 8 carries and 32 yards. I was reading a lot on this guy about a few months ago right after the draft, and a lot of guys said this could be, like, circle him, Browns fans, because he could be an undrafted free agent that makes the team. They're saying how underrated he was and how shocked that he went undrafted. So something to look out for, especially with the run game situation with the Browns currently, with Quinshon Judkins situation up in the air. There is an update on that. He did defer to having a fast trial and move the trial to January, okay? This is why this is big. NFL will not put out a suspension or make a decision on one until after the official trial is over, okay? So he may have set himself up where he can sign the contract, come back here, and start playing right away. Because they're not going to suspend him till the official trial is done. So we're talking about if he faces a suspension of any kind, you're talking 2026. Where this could be a problem, and I know I'm jumping the gun here, hypothetically speaking, let's say us Browns fans get our way and they go to the playoffs, he's going to have that trial right before playoff starts. Okay, now the question is, would the NFL suspend him then, or would they wait? You know, that's, you know, first they got to make the playoffs, okay? And I know they are coming off a 3-win season. I didn't forget it. But at least he can go in healthy into the regular season, but he needs to come to training camp, so he needs to prep up and get some preseason action if possible too. But that's been the latest on him though. Receiving, it was all over the place. Everybody caught something. Sal Canila led the way for the Browns there with 3 receptions and 32 yards. He did not. The touchdowns went to Cade Davis and Cade McDonald. And Cade McDonald, he's that Miami of Ohio tight end they got. And as far as defense goes, Carson Schwitzinger, the second-round pick, led the way there. So that was impressive there. For Panthers, Andy Dalton threw that interception there. They did have a great first game from Territoria McMillan, their first-round pick, their wide receiver out of Arizona. Big guy. I like him. I thought he was going to be a top 3 pick going into the college season last year. The issue happened with him is the guy, I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", big frame, can bring it down. The issue is football is not a priority to him, one. He said that. This is Josh Gordon all over again, where he said, football is what I'm good at, it's not my passion. Red flag, especially for if you play fantasy football. But, I mean, he could still turn out to be... I mean, Josh Gordon turned in some great games. We can all agree on that. He just was a Hall of Fame talent that just didn't have it together. But with McMillan, too, the other problem was when Arizona played nobody teams, smaller schools, I shouldn't say nobody, that's mean. But smaller schools, okay, he destroyed them. He was a monster. The guy was like... he had people convinced he was the first overall pick. When they played the tougher schools, all of a sudden the stats dwindled. And they dwindled quite... I mean, when he went up against some of the top cornerbacks in the league, even with his size, it was tough getting the ball to him at times. So, but, I mean, he is a very talented guy. This will be a helpful weapon for Bryce Harper, but hopefully his mindset can shift more towards football there. But Shedeur Sanders, what I liked, got rid of the ball quickly on most plays. Accuracy. I mean, the thing we don't talk about when these Cleveland quarterbacks, when we talk about the Cleveland quarterback carousel, there's been very few of them with great accuracy, okay? And Shedeur's accuracy was through the roof in this game. I mean, he made some just absolutely solid plays. I think there was the first touchdown that was impressive, but he hit Luke Floria, the kid out of Kent State, who, by the way, he got waived today, but out of injury, he had a serious injury. They said if he clears waivers, he can go into the injured reserve and the injured reserve practice squad. It's a technicality there, but they do plan on keeping him on the roster. Okay, but Luke Floria made a great one-handed grab for a 30-yard gain. And what I liked about that play was, okay, yeah, he had to make a one-handed stud catch to make that happen. But where Shedeur placed that so perfectly that where he could get it and the three defenders around him couldn't. Yeah, there was three defenders, not tightly around him, but still around him. And it didn't quite go too over. It went a little over. He had to make that one-hand grab, but he didn't under it either. So that showed some of his accuracy there. And then the other part was part of what they wanted to see a little more out of Baker years ago, and he started becoming more of a pocket quarterback, which was fine. And we didn't see. And then part of what they wanted to bring in when they brought in Deshaun Watson was using some of the feet for the run game. And Shedeur got a couple first downs by scrambling and finding an opening for a first down when he didn't see anybody on the field wide open, and he saw a lane and he took it. And that is something they want to take advantage of. You're not going to see Joe Flacco do it, but you would see Kenny Pickett do it. You would see Dylan Gabriel do it. And I think they want to just Stefanski's ideology is to keep the possession going, keep moving the chains, and that is something that Shedeur has brought to the table in all his playing days from high school till now, and what he did on Friday night in Carolina. And there was even that one play where it was fourth down. I didn't really care for the play call. It was, again, it's preseason, you get it, whatever. And he scrambled back and he avoided multiple sacks and he ended up having to throw it away. But how he juked and moved around there, I mean, it could have been disastrous, but it wasn't because of the way he could move with the football. And it was just an overall good look. So all in all, Shedeur Sanders had a great first game there. I don't think it's changed too much in the quarterback competition. I think he will get some solid reps the next game too. It's not going to probably be as many because, you know, they want Pickett to play, they want Gabriel to play, they want Flacco to play, and that's going to cause Shedeur to get a little less reps, but he's going to get reps, you know, for sure. But I think with all the hype and everything, it was a good game for him. I know there's some Browns fans that aren't very positive. They're like, oh, I've been a Browns fan for X amount of years. I've seen this before. It's a preseason game. I wouldn't read too much to it. Listen. You're not wrong. It's preseason. We've seen Cody Kessler have a great preseason game. We've seen, I could name for you almost every Browns quarterback that has been under center for them at a time that played preseason and played it well. The bottom line, though, is this is a kid that they thought could have potentially went second overall to the Cleveland Browns. If he doesn't go second overall, he could go to the Steelers. He could go to this team. He could go to, did not happen. He fell to the fifth round. There was a lot of hype with him, and he looked great. He really, really did. And I think that did say a lot. And I will tell you right now, for the iffy quarterback class, the rookie quarterbacks overall played very well in this past week. Cam Ward had only the first overall pick for the Titans. He had one possession, that was it. It became a touchdown. I don't think he threw it out to pull it up there. But he led a touchdown drive, and Shedeur had 3 touchdown drives, so I'm gonna note that there. He didn't have the touch. They rushed the touchdown in, but he went 5 of 8 for 67 yards. You had what's his name for the Saints there, Show. 165 yards, one touchdown. He did have one interception there. Jackson Dart of the Giants went 12 for 19, 154 yards and one touchdown. And his touchdown was pretty too. Just a good overall throw there. I'm trying to think of another guy I'm going to mention here. Okay, he is a rookie. He's not a quarterback, but you had. I gotta pull up his name here. Cam Little of second season, not rookie, but Cam Little of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had a 70-yard field goal against the Steelers. You know, Will Howard, speaking of Steelers, Ohio State quarterback, champion. He's out for the preseason with a broken hand. So they're not going to see him in the preseason. Which as much as I don't like the Steelers, I did want to see how well he did. You know, so overall though the rookie quarterbacks did well. Quinn Ewers did not do. He did so there, in his tie against Chicago, but overall the rookie quarterbacks did well. And of course, Dylan Gabriel for the Browns did not play yet. I expect to see him probably next week there. So, hey, we got to take a break. When we come back, we will actually keep talking preseason, what the Browns have coming up next this week, and how that quarterback competition, that and more. Stay tuned. Welcome to our last segment, 10-Cent Beer Night here on the second week of August. Seth here. We're really looking forward to our high school football schedule. We talked about that with Ron last week when he came in, and we'll have updates on that and more coming soon. But that'll be here before you know it. That in college, I got my Akron Zips tickets. Bob even got himself some Buckeye tickets from his family, so there you go. We're looking forward to seeing the defending champs. And then, of course, Akron play, too. And Akron just announced a new there's a schedule there for high school. Our first one will be August 22nd. Waterloo at Springfield. So, 11 days from where I am recording. That's a week and a half. It's about here. So, yeah, that's going to happen. So that'll be the first game there. And then we only had 2 games in August. The next one will be Stowe at Barberton then. So looking forward to that. And looking for the defending champs, Ohio State. And as you know, it's funny. They get ranked number 2 in the nation. Texas gets ranked number 1. In that matchup, the 1 and 2 team in the nation is a noon game still in week 1. That's wrong. Just absolutely wrong. Akron did hire a new agency to help with recruiting. They do specialize in kind of not just what they do on the field, but off the field. And I got a gut feeling, this is not from a source, this is just me thinking, okay? I got a gut feeling had to do something with the poor academic scores from the football team this year. So we'll find that out more here. The results from the first week of preseason games in the NFL real quick. Baltimore Ravens beat the Indianapolis Colts in Baltimore 24-16. Anthony Richardson dislocated his pinky on one of the first plays of the game. That guy was the 4th overall pick a couple years ago for the Colts, and he's just had bad luck since his first injury there. Philadelphia Eagles, not the Phillies. Yeah, Eagles, defending champs, beat the Bengals in Philly 34-27. Joe Burrow threw a couple touchdowns there, but Philly at the end of the day prevailed. Las Vegas Raiders went to the Seattle Seahawks, and they tied at 23. Geno Smith, the former Seahawks quarterback, did not play that game, but it was Pete Carroll's first game coaching for the Raiders there. So that was kind of special for him, but at the end of the day, nobody won and nobody lost there. So we talked about Cleveland beat Carolina in Carolina 30-10. Detroit Lions defeat the Atlanta Falcons 17-10. There was the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll start with the bad. There was a serious injury for one of the Lions players, in that game, and while they were carting him off, the players from both teams formed a circle and said a prayer in the middle of the field for him, and that was awesome. Okay, this is where the ugly thing happens that I have to talk about because I was very disappointed to read this. Here's the thing. I do this sports show. We love our professional sports, our college sports, our high school sports, We love our athletes. It's a special place in our heart, okay? At the end of the day, it is not that serious, especially at the professional level, okay? I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hate the Baltimore Ravens. I hate the Cincinnati Bengals. I hate the Detroit Pistons. I hate the Chicago White Sox. I hate the Detroit Tigers. I'm not very fond of either. I'm not a big Kyle Busch fan. I'm mentioning these two because here's the thing. There's teams I don't like. There's players I don't like. I'm not going to go and wish the fan of those teams or players that live down the street death. Okay, I'm not gonna take things that far, because especially at the professional level, these guys would not pee on you if you were on fire. That's the truth. So it disappointed me. We have the Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions, mind you, no big rivalry here, not a heated fan base. We had a police officer at Atlanta, a older brother of a rookie NFL player, killed, breaking up a fight between Lions and Falcons fans, and he was mauled to death. The man leaves behind a wife and a couple kids. Hey, it's not that serious, and I hope anybody that killed him goes to jail the rest of their lives. There is no excuse to fight like that at a preseason game. A preseason? It don't even count, man. Now we have this rookie player trying to make his team, and he's got to bury his brother while looking at his sister-in-law and his nephews and nieces, I don't remember what all he had, in the face and say, man, I hope I can make it so I can throw some money down and help take care of you guys because my brother's not around anymore. Because a couple fans decided they couldn't help themselves in a preseason game. What the hell is wrong with some of these people? Unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. There's a line, folks. There's things bigger than football. Another example would be, I told you I can't stand the Pittsburgh Steelers. They drafted a kid in the first round, defensive tackle out of Oregon, okay? This is the biggest moment of his life. He got drafted in the NFL first round. Doesn't matter where it goes. He went to Pittsburgh. His mom died a couple minutes later. Absolutely crushed his heart. I hate the Steelers, but I felt so bad for him. There was something bigger than football. That mother supported him the entire time, was cheering for him, and she did live a little long enough to see him get drafted, but then she was gone. And his heart was broke. He was crying at the press conference. He was hurt. This is the biggest moment of his life. I felt bad for him because I said, you know what? Nobody should have to go through that. In that situation, the way it went, we all are going to lose our mom. It's going to happen. But the way it went down from, that sucks. I didn't say, oh, he's a Steeler now. No, I just said this is a young kid that had a big moment in his life, and then he had a tragedy that followed it literally minutes later. The work it took to get to that point, and then to lose your mom that way, that sucks. There's something bigger than football here. I've been to games. I've talked my trash. I've been drunk at these games. But you're not going to see me wish death or throw a punch at somebody's father. There is a line there. So I just had to get that out of my system there. So I know most of you Detroit and Atlanta fans are good people. Don't get me wrong. But that was disappointing. New England Patriots beat up the Washington Commanders 48-18 in Foxborough there. Not a lot of big stats from either team there. They just play. I think New England's defense did well. Mike Vrabel's defense, of course, there. New York Giants beat the Buffalo Bills. We're going to Saturday's games, 34-25. Mentioned Jackson Dart played very well in that one there. Houston Texans lost to Minnesota 20-10 in Minnesota there. Sam Howell overall played a good game, if you remember him. He used to play for the Commanders. 11-13, 105 yards there. Pittsburgh Steelers beat Jacksonville 31 to 25 in Jacksonville. Do you remember the name Skylar Thompson? He was a quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. He played under center for the Steelers this past week. 20 for 28, 233 yards, 3 touchdowns. He has a monster preseason game. Dallas Cowboys lose to the Los Angeles Rams 31 to 21 there. You had you had SEC quarterbacks Joe Milton and Stetson Bennett going at each other. Milton went 143 with 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Bennett threw for 188 yards with 2 touchdowns and interception there. Tennessee Titans at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mentioned that Cam Ward led a touchdown drive. That was the only touchdown for Tennessee in that game. They lost 29-7. You have the Jets versus Green Bay. Jets beat up Green Bay 30-10, just like the Browns beat up Carolina there. Justin Fields, former Ohio State quarterback, played a little bit, did pretty well there. Arizona beats out Kansas City in Arizona there. Mahomes did play. Blake Zapp, you remember that name? He started for the Browns in the last season game. 8 for 17, 70 yards and 2 interceptions. Former Browns quarterback Jacoby Brissett played for the Cardinals. 5 for 8, 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Jacoby, still playing very well right now. Denver Broncos beat the San Francisco 49ers 30-9 there. Jason Stidham led the Broncos in passing and rushing, 136 yards on 14 of 15 attempts. 14 completions for 15 attempts, 2 touchdowns. He had 36 rushing yards there. And then you have the Miami Dolphins at the Chicago Bears. They tied at 24. There are ties in the preseason because they don't want people to overdo it. So 5 for 9, 96 yards for Zach Wilson. Case Keenum, former Cleveland Brown, 8 for 10, 80 yards and 2 touchdowns there for the Bears. And then you had the Chargers, who played the Hall of Fame game, beat up the Saints 13-27. Trey Lance with another decent outing, 7 for 14 and 55 yards. He had 48 rushing yards. He led in rushing too. So there you go. For preseason week 2, here is your quick line and keys to look out for. On Friday's games, we only got 2 games. Tennessee at Atlanta there. Cam Ward, more action there. NFL Network will have that game there. 10 p.m. Kansas City at Seattle. NFL Network will have that game. I think Mahomes could see some more action here and then take the third game off. But yeah, they're going to be at Seattle. Both teams are expected to have good defenses this year. Saturday at 1 p.m., NFL Network will host the Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles as the Browns will take on the defending champs. I'm predicting all 4 quarterbacks are going to play that game there. And it'll be interesting to see how well they play against the defending champs. I'll tell you, in years past, Cleveland's done very well against Philly in the preseason. 1 p.m., Green Bay Packers at Indianapolis Colts. Colts are having a quarterback competition of their own. Can Green Bay bounce back after their loss against the Jets? 1 p.m. in Minneapolis as the Patriots will take on the Vikings there. I think you're going to see Drake May get some reps there. And J.J. McCarthy. So it could be May versus McCarthy there. 1 p.m. In Houston, you're going to see the first and second overall pick of the 2023 NFL Draft go at each other. Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud as the Panthers and the Texans play each other. 1 p.m. in Detroit as the Dolphins will play the Lions. We'll see if Tua gets some more reps there, and then I think Goff will finally get his first preseason reps. NFL Network will host the 4 p.m. game of the San Francisco 49ers at the Las Vegas Raiders. San Francisco having wide receiver problems. Raiders will probably start, and I just said his name too. Geno Smith. Geno Smith will probably make his debut there with the Raiders, preseason debut. 7 p.m., Baltimore Ravens at the Dallas Cowboys. You could see Lamar versus Prescott there for at least a couple reps there. 7 p.m. NFL Network will host the Jets and the Giants, a Subway Series right there. Russell Wilson and former Steelers teammates, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields going at it there. Should be interesting to see how Jackson Dart does against the Jets defense as well. 7 p.m. the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Baker Mayfield will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers there. So, Baker's got a lot of history against Pittsburgh, and he didn't play because of a sore wrist last game, but, it was first preseason game. I expect him to play this game here. 7 p.m., Chargers at Rams. We have an LA series right here, and I think you're going to see the Chargers play a little bit more of their starters. Rams will definitely be playing some of their guys, too, in that matchup there, so it should be fun for LA fans. 9:30 p.m. on NFL Network, the Arizona Cardinals will be at the Denver Broncos there. Cardinals expected to be one of the more improved teams this year. Broncos, with Sean Payton and that crew, are expected to make some noise as well. And then Sunday, August 17th, you have on NFL Network, the Jacksonville Jaguars will be at the New Orleans Saints. Nobody knows what Jacksonville will be like with their new coach. The Saints are predicted to be the worst team in the NFL this year. Let's see if their young guys can make some noise and make it an entertaining game. 8 p.m. on Fox, the Buffalo Bills at the Chicago Bears. And you're going to see the defending MVP Josh Allen take on the hyped first overall pick, Caleb Williams, in that matchup. And that's going to be on, if I didn't say it already, that's going to be on Fox. And then our first Monday night game of the preseason, 8 p.m. on ESPN, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Washington Commanders. I think Commanders will start playing some of their first team guys. Bengals did last time. It went very, very well. Burrow threw a couple touchdowns, and that was actually, they said, this first multi-touchdown preseason game. Every time he's played the preseason, he hasn't thrown the ball much. He's more handed off, but they made him throw it. So that's going to be an interesting and fun one. And I'm seeing a lot of 80 degrees out there and everything. So make sure if you go to those games, you hydrate up and you drink. Remember, it's just preseason. It don't count. I've seen the Browns get beat up on a preseason game live, and I walked home happy because I saw football. The game didn't count. If there's one game they are going to mess up and look bad, it might as well be now when it don't count. They went 4-0 in the preseason the year they went 0-16. Just saying, it don't count. This is just to get reps and build and form the team for the year. So we just need everybody to stay as healthy as possible. We need Quinton Judkins back. I think my final thought before we close this show out today is there's been a lot of talks about the Shedeur Sanders and about the hype and everything because of who his dad is, because he fell in the 5th round and everything. There's something I do want to point out here that has caught my eye about all of this, okay? The reaction he's gotten from his teammates has been through the roof. And I mean all of them. I mean from Myles Garrett, a captain, down to the rookies in his class. They are all huddled up and they are all excited for him. We have seen this only twice in the quarterback carousel in Cleveland. Twice. We've had respected quarterbacks. Colt McCoy was respected. Charlie Fry was respected. Derek Anderson as a Pro Bowler was respected. But as far as quarterbacks, where the team rallied around and were hyped for, and you did see results, and some of the best results we've seen since 1999, Baker Mayfield, Joe Flacco. Those are the only guys where the players are like, I really like this guy. I want to play for him. I want to compete on the field with this guy. And we're seeing it now, the same reactions with Shedeur Sanders, and I think that says a lot more than people are going to give it credit to. I get it, he's a rookie. Don't rush him out there. I completely agree. I think Joe Flacco is going to be your starter. I think when you got that arm strength, you got that accuracy to move the ball down the field. Because the one thing I'll say about Shedeur is he did very well. Again, he made very few mistakes and he didn't turn over the ball. But he didn't throw a ton of balls downfield either. He threw some. He had to move the chain somehow without the run game. But Flacco is going to do that there. And not that Pickett and Gabriel aren't. But we know what Flacco's capable of doing, and there's a reason why he came in. And it said a lot. There was a picture. I don't know if you said, they made a meme about it. They said Shedeur is taking jobs all over the place. And it showed Deshaun Watson was at the game, and he was giving a look like, oh, man, this guy. Dylan Gabriel was at the game, and next to Deshaun, he's sitting there going, okay, all right. And you had Joe Flacco all smiles. He's pulling for the kid. Flacco knows he's got the job, but he knows it's just for this year. But you could tell on the look in his face and the way they've talked to each other, Flacco is a Sanders fan. And I'm not going to give Sanders, I'm not going to dub him, oh, he's franchise, but just think about the best case scenario, ladies and gentlemen. Sanders works out. We had enough evidence that we should invest into him. We use those first-round picks on more stud playmakers for around him, okay? His contract's already long-term and cheap. You add some more weapons on top of that, oh my gosh. I mean, that's what the good teams do. All right, we're out of here today. Next week, whether it's just me or somebody else, we'll find out. But we're going to talk about where the guards stand in the playoff position. They got an interesting... Oh, I didn't even talk about who they're going to play this week. Real quick, we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the Browns' second preseason game and how they did, for sure. So, yeah, guard schedule this week. Marlins, so good hitting team. Watch out so their pitcher can shut them down. They'll play them well. And Braves. Actually, this should be another good week for the Guardians, I think. I'll say 4-2. I'm going to go 4-2. They're going to go 4-2 in this week, and they'll do well there. We are going to talk more high school because that will be the show before our first game of this high school schedule. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about college and more. Football's back. Baseball's heated. And Cavaliers they're still in off season. A lot of Altman's best moves in his career have been in August, so I don't think they're done yet. So we'll find out what they do and more here. So hey, I'm out of here. Thank you guys for listening. Keep listening to FifthDimensionRadio.com and all the rest of the programs. Thank you, producer Bob, and we'll see you next week. Until then, go Guards, go Browns, go Ducks.